So, you decided to start your journey into unemployment. I mean, learning to become a music producer. But where do you even begin? I've been making music for over 7 years now, but it took me like 2 solid years before I ever started feeling confident in my abilities. However, today, things are very different. You could reach an intermediate level as a music producer in just 2 months if you learn it the right way. So here's exactly how I would learn it all if I were starting again from scratch. I'm going to show you the roadmap to go from a complete beginner to an advanced producer. But first, I want you to make a commitment to yourself to actually go out and implement at least one of these exercises that I'm going to show you. Okay, no more aimlessly watching tutorials for hours upon hours without taking any action. It's time to actually get something done, bro. Level 1. Let's say you're starting from absolutely nothing. Like, you've never touched a DAW before and you don't have any music experience. Now what? Well, the best place to start is to find a masterclass. So, a tutorial where someone would make a track from scratch, so starting from nothing, in the DAW that you want to learn. And let's say you want to learn Ableton and you chose to make minimal house as your genre. In which case, you would search for something like how to make minimal house from scratch in Ableton. Who is this guy? And then you watch that video, except you don't just watch it. The best way to learn is by doing. So, you open Ableton in another window, and you follow along with everything that they do. Except you put your own creative spin on it, obviously. And it's important that the whole process is shown from scratch, where they start from nothing, because that way you can actually follow along. Many masterclasses that follow this format are paid, and honestly, I think they're very much worth the investment. I recommend Sonic Academy. They're perfect for beginners, and this isn't sponsored, by the way. I actually use them. Even today, I can learn things from them. But if you're too broke to afford a $15 monthly subscription, well, first of all, I'm sorry. I really hope things get better soon for you. But second of all, there's still plenty of tutorials out there for free on YouTube, so you should be alright. And when you're following the tutorials, it really is okay to not understand everything right away. What's most important is that you're actually doing things and exposing yourself to the process, right? Making yourself more familiar with the DAW and the workflow. It's gradual, don't worry, you'll get better with time. Now, once you've gone through a masterclass or two, that rhymed, you can start thinking about how to actually become more fluent and more confident in your workflow and start learning some more concepts. Actually, I want you to think of it like this. Imagine that you're learning how to skateboard. You just learned the very basics, but you're still very much awkward on the skateboard. So, what should you do to improve? You should skate. And skate a lot. I mean, you're not gonna get any better from just watching tutorials for hours upon hours, are you? And similarly, in learning music production, the single fastest way to become more confident in your skills is to just make music. That's it. When you simply try to make songs, you will come across problems. Like, you will want to do something, but you won't know how to do it. And in cases like these, you can just Google the damn thing. If you're having a problem right now, someone else probably had it at some point as well. I mean, music production and DAWs have been around for decades. So the solutions to pretty much every problem are already out there online. With this approach, you will only learn what's actually useful and you will be applying it immediately after. Try to do things, encounter a problem in trying to do things, look for a solution to that problem, and solve the problem. And then go back to trying new things. That's the cycle of learning. Though, things get a bit more complicated once you wanna start thinking outside the box and learn some new tricks. I mean, with skateboarding, you can learn the ollie, the kickflip, the pop shove it, and so on. But for us, music producers, it's not that obvious. There's 1,000 different directions you could go in, and oftentimes you don't even know what you don't know. Like, you don't know what you could know. So, to provide you with some structure, I decided to give you some homework. Here is a list of topics that will be very beneficial for you to learn about. This is by no means an exhaustive list. I didn't want to make it too overwhelming, but once you check off all of these boxes, you're bound to become a pretty well-rounded producer. I've made a document for you with all of these, where I've also linked the best videos to learn each of these concepts in the fastest and easiest way. Inside the document, you can also check the boxes off once you've done them, so that you have a measurable way to track your progress. But there is a caveat. You can only check the boxes once you've learned and applied the concepts in practice, in a real scenario. Okay? So just keep that in mind. This way you will actually learn these things. If you want to download this checklist, the link to that is in the video description. Okay, once you've gotten a bit more comfortable with your DAW, it's time to move on to some more advanced exercises. I've got some to learn arrangement as well as composition. Let's start with arrangement. So the single best exercise to learn it is by analyzing other people's music. And there is a certain way to do it. Choose a track you like and put it inside your DAW. Now, identify each element and create empty MIDI clips to visually map out when each element is playing. So to demonstrate this, if I hear that there's a kick, a hi-hat, a clap, a synth, and a bass line playing in a track, I would then create separate MIDI tracks to represent each of these elements. And then I would listen when they're active and when they're not. Based on that, I would drag out empty clips to represent them. The MIDI clips are empty, but it's meant to be like a sketch or a placeholder for each of these elements. We're doing this to get a detailed visual map of how the arrangement would look like. This will help you tremendously to notice patterns and understand some of the arrangement techniques that are often used. Once you go through the whole track, you should end up with something that should look a little something like this. So that's cool. You just remade the arrangement of that track. And now, if you're feeling really cheeky, you can also remake the composition of it. Listen to it and try to remake each element from scratch. And this is a bit of a harder exercise. It involves a lot of experimentation, so we can talk about it some other time. But when it comes to composition, sound design techniques and all that, there is one more exercise that is much easier to do. And namely, it's to just keep watching track from scratch masterclasses. And of course, follow along with what they do. If you watch like 100 of them, you'll be exposed to thousands of techniques and you will collect and combine only the things that resonate with you, which will eventually evolve to become your own unique sound. I feel like once you're very advanced, it's just a case of, exposing yourself to as many different things as possible so that you can put your own spin on them. You know what? Initially, I was going to redirect you to watch another one of my videos, as I usually do. But honestly, I don't want you to just keep watching tutorials for hours without taking any action. So the call to action for today is just choose one of the exercises that I showed you in this video and actually go out and do it. Okay? So get the fuck off of this video and do it. See ya.